Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Derek, and this is where I like to post my thoughts and experiences on various topics that I find interesting. Hopefully, you can also find something interesting to draw out of it, and if not, you can always check out the channel another day. You might find something that is interesting to you. I also like to mess around, so don't take my content too seriously. It might look like rage bait to some people, but that's not my intention. It's just how my mind processes things. There's a quote I'd like to share with you, which is relevant to what I'm talking about. Is don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out of it alive anyway. I don't know whether you get the meaning of that, but I found it to be a profound quote and a very inspiring one. So let's get to today's story. This happened back in 1998. I was about 2 years old. I would say it's the first complete memory in my head that I can actually remember to this day. And I was traumatized. I was really traumatized. So it's about 10 p.m. I would say. That's just a guess. About 10 p.m. My parents are asleep. We sleep on the same bed. My dad sleeps on the edge of the bed. My mom sleeps in the middle, and I sleep on that side of the bed that is next to the wall. I guess that's how. That's the culturally right way for us to sleep. Also, for my own security, if I sleep next to the side that is opposite the wall, I might roll and fall outside. But if I roll on the other side, I hit the wall and come back. But I was not feeling asleep at that time. Like any other kid, I had spent my entire day sleeping while my parents were busy working. So by the time it gets to night time, they're very tired, but I'm not because I have been resting the whole day. So they wait for me to sleep. Sometimes I'll sleep early, but today I was not feeling like sleeping. I was wide awake. They couldn't wait anymore. So my mom was the first to go to bed. She went to bed and slept. My dad was there looking after me, but after a while he got tired too. So he pushed himself to the middle of the bed, pushed my mom to the end of the bed, and then he put me next to the edge of the bed. So I wasn't really sleeping, I was seated on the bed. And then there was a stool right in front of me. And on the stool, there was a lantern. I don't know whether you know what a lantern is. It's the kerosene lamp that has some glass on it. So it wasn't very bright, it was dim. The room was small, but you could barely see the walls. The light from the lantern, as you know, is brightest where the lamp is and gets dimmer and dimmer as you move away from the lamp. So that's how it looked. But it was a normal day for me. I was used to this kind of lamp. And there was no entertainment. We didn't have a TV. There are no phones or iPads to play with. No books I couldn't read at that age either, so those would not have been helpful. The only form of entertainment for me at that time, at that age, was looking at the lamp. I was really afraid of the dark, so I felt a bit comfortable and a bit better when I see the light. But I guess that's every child. I don't know, but I'm just assuming. So I'm looking at the lamp and I'm enjoying it for hours and hours. I look around, my dad is snoring, and my mom is deep asleep. Anyway, I don't care about them. I didn't seem to care so much about the parents unless I was coming in to get some food or something. That's the only time I had love for my parents. Yeah, but I guess that's kid stuff. So I look at the lamp. I don't know what is going on in my mind at that age. But then something interesting starts happening. And I was all for it because I guess just looking at a lamp is not that exciting. But if it's the only thing that you can do, you'll do it. So an insect starts flying around, and I'm excited. So I'm looking at the insect. It comes close to the lamp, then flies away into the darkness. I stop seeing it. Then it flies back into view. Then comes to the glass. And I knew something about this glass. If you've used a lantern, you probably know. The glass gets very hot once the lamp has been on for a few hours or something like that. And I had touched the glass. I was a curious kid. And I used to learn by first hand experience rather than listening to advice. But I guess that's a kid's brain doing what it's supposed to do. So I touched the lamp, and I burnt my finger, and I screamed a lot. And my parents were like, "Nah, now you know not to touch that one." I guess they were sadistic kind of parents. They were not the parents that would comfort you. They're like, "You've learned your lesson the hard way, good for you." I was watching the lamp, I wasn't touching it, I was enjoying the light. Uh, at that age, I guess anything you can make anything interesting. But then the insect started doing something weird. Now, instead of just calling it an insect, let me tell you, I learned later on that it's called a moth. Let's start from there. It's called a moth. And one characteristic of a moth is it likes somewhere where there is a flame. Like there is this thing that a moth is always drawn to a flame for one reason or another. I tried to read and understand the reasons why, but there are a few contradicting theories, and that's not the point of it. I'll not concentrate on the theories of why moths come to flames, but it's a phenomenon that is widely known. So it would come and touch the glass, and I'm like, hey, is this insect not getting burnt? So it went round again, touched the glass. And then a few times later, it touched the glass and it fell. Instead of flying away, it fell. So I'm like, the insect must have been hurt. So I looked at it with fear. I'm like, what's going on? It's not screaming. As a kid, I don't understand why the insect is not screaming. But I'm like, it looks hurt. So I look at it and you know, it soon stands up, like not stands up, like uh, flaps its wings and flies again into the darkness, back into the light, into the darkness, back into the light. I'm enjoying this entire saga. It's the most interesting thing for me in such a place and such circumstances, I would say. Then it came a time when it spent a few seconds on the glass. For some reason, it used to stay on the glass for maybe 1 or 2 seconds. But this time it stayed for like 5 seconds. But after that, it did not fly away again. It fell on the stool, and I was waiting for it to stand up like before, but it didn't. It stayed there for I would say a good 30 seconds. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I was also afraid of insects, so I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to touch the insect and check what's going on. So I'm like, what do I do? Like every other child, my father was a superhero who could solve any problem. So I'm like, let me wake him up. But then, like any other normal kid, as a human being, you tap a person to wake them up. But a 2 year old probably does not have that concept of tapping someone to wake them up. And there is only one way I knew how to get my father's attention, and that was screaming. So I started screaming. I screamed. The first time, my dad turns around, looks at me, and closes his eyes and looks back. I scream again. Now he's angry. He looks at me like, what the hell is going on? Then I turn my head and look at the insect on the stool. Then the insect starts flapping its wings again and standing up. So my dad sees the insect at this time, the moth. He sees the moth at this time, at this point. I think he concludes that I'm trying to tell him the moth is attacking me, so he needs to defend me against the moth. I think that's what he interpreted. He had just come from sleep, so this entire story I'm telling you about the fun I was having, he was not aware. So he looks at the insect, and it doesn't fly as fast as a housefly or anything like that. It's very hard to swat a housefly. So immediately reaches out and as it was struggling to get up and fly around, he smashes it now on the table. Now it's dead. Mind you, I'm 2 years old. I don't know what dead is at this time. I'm like, now it's stop. I'm like, that's not what I asked you to do. Like, what have you done? So I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the insect to stand up. Now he's going back to sleep. He has solved my problem, and he's not expecting any more screams. So I stay there. I guess it was a few minutes. The insect is not standing up. I'm wondering what the hell is going on. So I want to tell my father to wake up the insect. For some reason, I thought he had the capability to do that. I'm like, I didn't want to touch the insect. As much as I was enjoying the show it was giving me, I'm still afraid of insects. So instead of tapping him again to tell him to wake the insect up and get it to continue doing the circus it was doing for me, I did the same thing I do to get the attention. I started screaming again. So my father now wakes up. He's very angry. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, yeah, in whatever language he was speaking at that time. And then I started pointing at the insect. And like, this insect is gone. Like, what are you afraid of right now? So he gets angry at this time. He gets angry. And, he picks me up. I was sitting on the side of the bed. So he picks me up. He, he moves to the edge of the bed, moves my mother to the middle, who was very angry to be woken up to just be moved. And then he puts me where I'm supposed to sleep. He takes the lamp and uh, puts out the flame. Uh, now the lamp is off. It's totally dark. But I was angry. You didn't save the insect. Like, what happened? I was scared of the dark and I was not sleepy. So I'm staying there looking on the roof. I can't see anything because it's totally dark. But I'm scared and I know my dad can get very physical. So I'm afraid to scream again because of the dark. I guess I looked back for several hours. I was finding it very hard to sleep when it was dark. I would sleep when the lights were on, and then my parents would turn off the lights after I was deep asleep. So this day my dad was so angry, just switched off the lamp and uh, put me to sleep. But I couldn't sleep. I really couldn't sleep. That thing really moved me. So, and this was my experience with death. I remember the following morning, I woke up and I saw the moth just there on the stool. I tried to move it a little bit, but it was gone. It was never going to move again, forever and ever. And I was wondering why did my dad do this to this insect? Like, why would anyone do anything like that? And I guess that's why I became sensitive about killing of animals. I didn't know such a fate also would befall me as a human being. I had learned that animals can die once you hit them. Like insects can die once you hit them strong enough or you smash them. I didn't know human beings could, and I've explained this in another video. I came to realize this during my grandfather's burial. That's when I came to know that human beings also face the same thing. And I tell you, I was scared and shocked. Like I would end up like that insect, like just lying there, not being able to do anything the whole night and the whole day. And later on, my mother moved the stool away and everything. I guess she cleaned the house. I checked later on the stool, and the stool was empty and the moth was gone. So yeah, that's my first experience with murder. Not the murder of a human being, but the murder of that moth was just as eye-opening for me as that of a human being. Like seeing something lifeless on a surface, and it doesn't have the vigor and the energy to move around and dance around and fly around. That picture is not pretty. It's not a pretty picture. Yeah, that's my experience. I don't know what your first experience with death was. You can share it if you want. It's an interesting thing to see how a kid processes something as emotional as death. But I guess the death of a human being scared me more because it brought to my attention my own mortality. At first, I even thought it's some people who die. Like, at that point, when I was young, I didn't know that you grow up to become an adult. I thought you were going to be a child forever. And if you are an adult, you are born an adult. It's not like you're born as a child and grow up to be an adult. So those adults who die, so I would never die. But I realized even I was going to die someday. And it was the saddest day of my life. And I realized my parents can't stop it. And that's my story. Thanks for watching.